Welcome to my new podcast, Angels and Side Quests, where faith meets the missions you didn't sign up for. I'm your host, Angela Crystal, Christian nonfiction author, speaker, community builder, cancer survivor, wife, and mom. In 2010, during the season of Lent, I went on a journey to find God. What happened next was so unexpected, so spiritual, so heaven sent that I had to write about it. My book, The Angels Are Talking, is available now through Amazon and online retailers. I created this podcast because there is an urgency in this moment to help guide God's people in the right direction. We are living in a world that feels loud, uncertain, and upside down. There is a God who sees all, and we all need to know how to reach him. And I promise you this, if you surrender to purpose and the side quests God has for you, it'll all make sense in the end. The season of Lent is upon us. For those of you who don't know, this season, which begins on February 18th, 2026, and goes through Easter, is a time of fasting, self-reflection, and relationship building with God. It is one of the most holy times of the year, and it's the perfect opportunity to jumpstart your spiritual journey. Lent isn't about giving things up to suffer. It's about making space to hear God. For 40 days, the noise gets turned down, distractions loosen their grip, and you get honest with yourself, with your faith, with God. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fast the right way. You don't even have to know exactly what you're looking for. God meets you where you are. And all he asks for is sincerity, not performance. Attention and not polish. Some people give up food. Some people give up bad habits. Some commit to releasing fear, distractions, or control. And in that empty space, something holy shows up. Lent is a reset, a return, a quiet journey toward clarity, trust, and deeper faith. If you felt disconnected, if your faith feels routine or stale, if you're hungry for something real, Lent is a beautiful place to begin. So let's take it back to where my story begins. A couple weeks before Lent started, I was having a conversation with my mom. And during that conversation, she said, Angie, the Lord has put it on my heart to cut off that TV and stay in his word. Immediately, I said, Mom, I'll do it too. Now, at the time, I was a young, spry 23-year-old. I had grown up in church. My mom is the missionary president, and my dad has been a deacon since before I was born. I had spent hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours in church, but it just didn't feel real enough to me. The ritual, the repetition, the same songs, the same services, it left me feeling unfulfilled. I didn't want church. I wanted to know for myself that God was real. See, I was the 7-year-old kid who would sit on the steps at my house when no one was around, and I would put a ball on the steps and I would say, God, if you're real, move this ball. The ball never moved, but that just goes to show you, I have been daring God to show up my whole life. So Lent was a couple of weeks away. My first move was to make a plan, and the plan was simple. For the entire 40 days of Lent, I was going to try to find the real God. That included turning off the TV, disconnecting from social media, praying, and I also committed to reading my Bible. It was 2010, so social media was not what it is now, but I still let everything go. I became convinced that God could hear me and see me, and that He would give me a sign that He was there. And honestly, I don't know what would have happened if He never showed up, but He did. Now, your fast might look different from mine, and that's okay. It's still worth joining me. Maybe social media and doom scrolling isn't your vice. Pick something else. The only questions are, what takes up the most space in your attention right now? And what would happen if you set it down for a season on a quest to create a deeper relationship with God? It's that simple. About 2 weeks into this fast, I was praying and reading my Bible when I heard, I am God. God came and spoke to me. I remember running down the stairs to share the news with my mom because we were in this fast together and she was so happy for me. And honestly, if he had never spoken again, that would have been fine. The acknowledgement alone changed my life. It was like God saying, okay, I see you. I see the effort. I see the sacrifice. And that put such a battery in my back. I found God, the one I had been looking for. And this changed everything. So I kept going in my fast, reading my Bible, praying, no distractions, no TV, no social media. And a couple of weeks later, God spoke again. I was sitting alone in my parents' living room, just me and my dog. And he said again, I am God. And this time I broke. It still gives me chills because out of all of the people in the world, out of everyone searching for answers, he joined me when I prayed. I just sat there overwhelmed by the weight of it. And then he said something I'll never forget. I have found favor with thee because of your faith. This has to be one of the highest honors God can give. It's a testament to what happens when you go all in and just believe. God showed me he was real. And I had no title, no platform, no position in church. I was by all measures a nobody. But my faith moved him. And then he said, I am sending an angel with things sent from heaven. So the next day during prayer, God said the same words. And then I heard a song, no words, just a melody. And a voice that wasn't God said, I am Gabriel, captain of the Lord's host. I have come in the name of the Lord to deliver things sent from heaven. Stretch out your hands to receive these things. So I stretched out my arms, fingers open, not knowing what to expect or feel. And the angel said, it has been delivered into thine hands. I looked down at my empty fingers, wondering what invisible gift I had been given. The next day it happened again. This time Gabriel said, I cast it in, I cast it in. Little did I know, one of the gifts he brought me was the ability to communicate with angels. Over the next 3 days, from March 9th to March 11th, 2010, I met more than 40 angels. One by one, they introduced themselves to me. They sang, they gave me their names and the spelling. They announced that they had come in the name of the Lord, and then they told me their jobs. It was a rapid fire meet and greet from heaven. And these weren't random beings. These were my fleet of assigned angels attached to my simple human life. Angels sent to keep me on the path that God has chosen. And what surprised me most was that they weren't identical. They all had personalities, they had humor, they had different emotions, and they each had a purpose, just like us. I've learned that God celebrates individuality and uniqueness in angels and in people. And that's when something shifted in me. I realized no one ever walks alone. Right now, where you are, angels are watching you, praying for you, interceding for you, and thanking God for the miracle of your life. Have I encouraged you enough to jump in the pool and start fasting with me yet? What's that? You need some more motivation. Okay. Let's talk about two of my angels. The first one is an angel of war. The angel came to me and he said, I am an angel. I have come to chase. I am an angel of war. I am here to fight your battles. Chaleo means God will fight. God wants me to fight for you. I am fighting even now. Oh yes, I am going to win this battle. This wasn't symbolic. This was heaven stating a fact. God had assigned me an angel of war named Chaleo. Because when you step into real prayer, fasting, and relationship with God, you don't just get closer to Him, you become visible in the spiritual realm. And when you become visible, God sends protection. After the angel of war made it clear that heaven was actively fighting for me, I met another angel, and his role was different. He didn't come to chase the enemy. He came to hold the line. He said, I am your guardian angel. I am Yashate. Yashate means God is in it. I am here to guard. No one comes into your space unless I give permission. Now let that sink in. No one enters your life, your energy, your home, your spiritual space without passing through a gate. And for me, Yashate is that gate. We've been taught that guardian angels are soft, they float, they hover, that they're passive observers. But Yashate corrected that illusion immediately. He too is an angel of war. So Chaleo fights in front of me, and Yashate stands around me and decides who reaches me, who gets access to me, what attacks are allowed to get close enough to even try. This is why some people never made it into my life, why some crowds felt closed off, why certain doors simply would not open. That wasn't rejection. That was protection. God wasn't punishing me. He was filtering my environment for my good. And let's talk about why this matters. There are dangers you never see, people you never meet, accidents that never happen, because someone right now is standing guard over your life, not passively, but with authority. God has set you above, and heaven takes that assignment very seriously. Every single one of us has angels just like this, angels that fight day and night, not because we are perfect, but because God has said we must win. Let's talk about the story I didn't understand until this moment with these angels. When I was about 6 years old, a man my father had been doing business with became increasingly enraged and agitated. One night, he came to our house and threw a bomb through the living room window. I watched that bomb roll back outside and land on the porch. It never exploded. All that remained was a scorched curtain, and I was sitting only a few feet away from the window, completely unharmed. That was not luck. That was Yashate holding the line and Chelio intercepting death. I am a firebomb survivor because heaven refused to let my story end early. Now, you may not have had an experience like mine, but you've had moments that didn't make sense. Times when something almost went wrong, times when you were spared, times you were protected. That wasn't luck. That was heaven quietly doing its job. And you didn't find my podcast by accident either. God called you here so that you will know that He hasn't forgotten you and He's waiting on you to come closer. The benefits of working on your relationship with God far exceed the unknown. None of this was haphazard. God has been protecting you even before you knew to look. I've survived plenty of things that I shouldn't have. My heart stopped at birth, that firebomb story, a traumatic divorce, and even cancer. And every time, God sent angels to make sure I got where He wanted me to be. Thank you so much for spending time with me. One more episode about Lent is coming, and I hope it convinces you to jump in. It's my encounter with Jesus Himself. A free fasting guide is available on my Substack at Angela Crystal. And my book, The Angels Are Talking, explores all of these encounters in greater detail. Until next time, remember, you are never walking alone.